sex, everything will fall. If you don't have respect for somebody anymore, you're not going to want to fuck them. If you can't be loyal to them, well, then you're
losing trust.
Right. All of that. So that all has to be worked on all the time. And that's a relationship that I want for myself.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about to witness
the journey that is the Lyfe Choyces podcast.
Yeah! You run a podcast as well, the 𝐃𝐨𝐵𝐿emere Show on YouTube.
Yep. And Spotify as well.
And Spotify.
Yep.
Awesome. So everybody out there, after this episode, please go to Spotify and YouTube and subscribe to the 𝐃𝐨𝐵𝐿emere Show.
Yeah. Thank you.
So you have an event coming up.
It's actually this Saturday. So been...
But this Saturday is actually like about 11 weeks ago. The event has happened, and it was on February
17th.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about how...
We're going to talk about what the event was leading up to it, and then next time you come on, we can talk about how successful it was.
Okay, great. Yeah. So this event is called A Night of Connection and Intention. Basically, this dating space, and it's a lot on social media apps or dating apps, and it's just on your phone, and people are just constantly screen sucking and trying to find dates like that instead of really trying to show up as your most authentic self, either at a bar or a social event or with friends. I am creating a dating space and really a life that I want to see. I'm like, well, screw all that. I want to see it look like this, so I'm just going to create it. So it starts with this night, and it's just the night of connection and intention where everybody is vetted. So if you want to show up to get drunk and get laid, this is not for you. If you're a dude who can't show up as for yourself, as an asset for yourself, your own life, or society, how are you going to show up as an asset for a relationship? How are you going to lead as a man in the relationship, or even court a woman in the dating space, like right in the beginning? What I mean by that is anybody that lives with their parents or in their parents' basement, that just puts into my mind that you don't know how to like take care of yourself yet on that level. So you have to get there first before you're going to court a woman in a relationship. So that is another factor. That's one of the questions. There's a questionnaire that I've sent out and everybody's been answering it, and I get a lot of feedback. I use these questions and I bring it into the event. I don't call anybody's name out or anything. I go, here's what women are looking for. And I read off, a couple things to start the night. And then here's what the men are saying as well. It's all about emotional availability. If you're a man and you are emotionally constipated and you are reacting, knee-jerk reaction to things that are happening in your life, well, what do you think is going to happen in a relationship the first time like a woman has an argument with you? You're going to fly off the handle. You're not getting what you want. And it's just not how you should be acting as a leader in your divine masculine if you're there.
Once we get to a certain stage in our life, we can say that we've been in the bar scene. We've slept with 1, slept with 5, slept with 10, whatever it might be. Everyone's different.
Sure.
But you've definitely been the person that was not emotionally available.
Sure.
Definitely knee-jerk reaction to emotions or things thrown at you. And that didn't get you what you wanted, right? Because eventually you want a relationship. You want to be able to have what's called a successful relationship that could grow into something else. My youth, not at all. I was selfish. I didn't really care much about it. I always said I was too busy and all this other stuff. If you're in that stage of life where you find dating is difficult, people don't seem to be who they are, the dating apps just don't work for you, then now 𝐃𝐨𝐿emere is creating a new venue, a new arena for this mature man and woman to come together, learn what each other would like from a relationship, and try to put those practices into play at an event in hopes that after the event, you might have made a connection with someone, or at the very least, you learned something about yourself so that you can move into the arena of dating more successfully.
What you said, that second part is the most important thing, I think.
Okay.
Is if you can, yes, that'd be great if you have a connection with a woman and like you maybe see her later, really in any capacity. Like if it's dating, good. But I am very open to meeting women. And if you don't really feel a first connection, maybe you go on a couple dates and it's not there, then maybe there's a business relationship or just a friend relationship, or just say, I know a guy that would be perfect for her. Why don't we bring her out to like a brunch or something, and I can, like, maybe a 6 degrees of separation type of thing. But what you said about you can learn something about yourself, that's huge, because it really starts within yourself. All your happiness is all in here, and there's nothing external that's going to make you happy if you are emotionally constipated or aren't emotionally available. But when you have a healthy mind, you know that it all comes from you.
If you are the best you set off in a level of energy that other people will then be drawn to once you become that true person that you are. And I'm a big believer in that. Emotional constipation or emotional availability is kind of two things that one would have to look at within themselves first before
100%.
wanting to go into an event like this, which is so important, because if you're going to put yourself in a social atmosphere to possibly meet someone, and like you're saying, it might not have to be a connection and start dating them, but it might be on the level of, hey, this is a really cool person. I would love to kind of like hang out with them some more and just see if like there's a friendship or a business opportunity. When someone decides that, yes, I'm ready for that level, then this is when they can kind of come to an event or reach out to you to get maybe some lessons on how to be around the opposite sex.
100%. There's certain cues that from the questionnaire, or I'll be talking to every man on the phone or a Zoom call or something, just for a brief, just a call, just to make sure that they're coming for the right reasons. If they're only looking for external validation, really in any capacity, that's something they need to work on in themselves. That's the first thing. People want and need companionship. That is what I think. This whole thing of being, I'm just going to be independent and I don't need anybody. Grow yourself and kind of like, you take a fast off of whatever you were doing, maybe off of, overeating or booze or whatever you were doing, and really try to become who you want to be as a better person. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who are just, they have to have something else because they're not happy with themselves. So that's one signal. If you have a love bombing mindset where, I can't wait to take a girl like on a trip and all these things, and fire off on a woman like in the first, very soon after meeting them, and reeling them in from a love bombing perspective, that to me is you're not going or pursuing an actual woman, like that specific woman. You are pursuing a vessel because you have an anxious, lonely heart that hasn't been met. Like the needs haven't been met in your heart. So once you get that from this love bombing so quick, it's full, but it's not from her. It's from everything you guys were doing. Once she starts reciprocating any sort of love or feeling, or, oh, okay, this guy's really into me. No, you're not. You're just, you can't, you're not happy with yourself and you need this.
You're
Once it's full, she's fucked, because then you're going to, it could be very quick, maybe a couple weeks or a month, and you're doing all these things together and it's holding hands, you're all this shit because you have this desire, and it's not terrible. It could, because they probably mean it at the time. But once that void is met, it's not her. Like she now probably becomes
obsolete.
Right. And you're like, what's wrong with you? Like, we've only been hanging out a month. Like you're already having feelings, and they try to switch it around on her and have some narcissistic tendencies and all these things. So I try to, anybody that I could see who's going to be a love bomber, I'm like, let's just work on that and get whatever void you need first. And it's all going to come from yourself, but building that communication muscle is huge. So that's why this event, if you come and you don't meet somebody for dating, you're still there to get off your phone, get off the screen sucking, get off the app. Cause this shit right here, the app, cause I've done this too. You're just like firing off on whoever just to get the bing, a match for a dopamine hit. This event and the one that I'll have going forward will all be about building the communication muscle, having the right intentions, with a direction in the life that you want to go. And it's just very subtle because it's one event, right? So the work doesn't stop. You have to keep doing this day by day in the direction of your life that you want to go, not just in dating, but your health, your mindset, your business, your finances, your family, the faith in yourself that you have. Everything
is a practice every day. And as you grow as an individual, in order to be ready for a situation like an event like this, you will realize the amount of effort that it takes in a day, minutes, hours, days of practice on so many different levels of so many different platforms of your life in order to sustain what it is you're looking for, which is inevitably people are looking for happiness, companionship, good business. All of these things take a daily practice. And within that day, there's so many things that you need to do regularly to maintain once you have received the actual passing grade on each one of them.
Mhm.
So let's say there's a group of men, obviously, because you have how many people at an event, give or take?
Looking for an even ratio, and this is going to be a smaller venue because I'm just going to rent out an Airbnb and do it there, like in a nice setting. So it's not going to be like at a bar or something. So I will have like a bar set up with a bartender, some drinks. I'm not looking for like drunks, but like, that's part of the social atmosphere. Some food, and then how I'm going to set it up, but probably, hopefully 10 and 10.
Okay.
So a little more intimate.
Right. So you have 20 people coming to an event that are of the mindset of this is not just a way to get laid. This is an event to learn about yourself, to see how good you are at communicating, and to find out some points that women are looking for, and for women, some points that men are looking for when it comes to proper connection and proper communication amongst the dating realm, the dating
Exactly.
world. What happens once I come to one event? What happens next?
I don't really have a lot of rules of like how you want to communicate when you're there. Obviously, just be respectful. But if you want to exchange numbers or information while you're there, a lot of venues or a lot of dating spaces don't like that because, they want to share information through. If you guys connect, no matter what it is, the business, dating, whatever it is, I don't have a problem with, exchanging information right there. As long as you're not doing it you're just firing off on every woman to get everybody's number,
Yeah, like kind of
So it's a little more subtle.
take time, get to know each
Of course.
individual there. And at the same time, you're also there to communicate with the other people
Yes.
that you might not have a physical interest in.
Sure.
Because communication amongst men and women, communication amongst women is very important. And we know that, unfortunately, my experiences and information from women is that men have this ability to be a bit more bonded with each other than women do. For example, me and my friends, we're known for having a close group of friends, and we really do rely on each other for like emotional, financial support, like just everything. Like we just go to each other. We call each other. You know what I'm saying? Like not all this texting bullshit.
Mhm.
It's like we actually call and communicate with one another. And women have expressed to me that they tend to have a bit of a harder time finding that really good solidarity amongst their girlfriends. And I'm like, if you go to an event like this, you might meet like-minded people that you might create a friendship with them as well. So it's not just about dating, because you have the opportunity to meet other people
And
to
become friends.
friends.
Mhm.
And within all of that, it's the learning of practices on how to communicate.
Of course, and that's still a connection as well. Two things you brought up that I want to point out there is great. One, you said you have a group of men that you call and you lean on each other. That's iron sharpening iron, and it's awesome. Men need other men to make themselves be better and become the best version of themselves. Women, if have a harder time with that, with this event, I set up a private Facebook group just for the women that sign up. So they sign up, they, go through the process, do the questionnaire, they pay, and they get an email, automated email. Hey, thanks for such, such, such. Here is the private Facebook group. If you don't have a Facebook, get a Facebook.
Yeah,
Basically,
exactly.
I can't. So they get in there and they can see everybody that's there. I'm of course in there, but mostly I have my assistant, and I have two assistants that are going to be helping me with this. They're both in there facilitating, and they kind of just talk to each other and, see who's there, look through their pictures, and just maybe at a very small scale, get to see who's going to be there.
Right. And is the private group just for the women going
Yes,
to the
there's also one for men.
And then there's one for the men.
Yeah.
That's an absolutely brilliant idea,
Mhm.
actually, because now usually people would be apprehensive to go to an event like that because they don't know anyone, or they try to get a friend to kind of sign up with
Sure.
them to go. But now you're actually opening the conversation beforehand within the sexes to get a familiarity with the people there, so that when you show up, you kind of recognize a face like, oh, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And that actually takes away from some of the nervousness, because it doesn't matter what age you're at or what level of experience in life you may be at. An event like that can be putting a little apprehension in your brain, and you're trying to facilitate the more calm,
It's a safe
welcome,
space, yes.
comfortable
Sure.
before you even show up for the event, which would then just in turn, I have to imagine, create an overall wonderful experience for the actual event.
Yeah. And it's great. So it's like an even a good calm flow throughout where everybody's kind of just feels comfortable. Nobody's like an outsider or anything. And everybody's welcome who wanted to sign up for the right reasons to come to this. This is how it starts. Building relationships. Here's my overall thought on this whole thing. Life is all about relationships and building relationships and creating relationships, no matter what capacity. I recently just met you. We have a relationship. It's whatever it is, podcast talking and growth. Anybody you meet on the street, that's a relationship. The bank teller that you talk to, that's a relationship. And it's all communication, relationships, and building. So anybody who finds themselves by themselves all the time, then you hear that they're depressed or have anxiety and all these problems. Well, no wonder. It's because you're sitting there by yourself. So if you're introverted and you have the rhetoric in your mind of, I could never X, Y, and Z, I would never, that's just your motherfucking massive fucking ego blocking you. And when I say ego, I don't mean like an egomaniac who's like this, fucking jerk off. I mean protection in yourself where you think whatever is blocking you, that's your ego. Once you can let that go and be like, hey, you'll find that people are going to want to respond and talk.
The more you put out, the more bravery you have to become the most genuine you, the most authentic you.
People will gravitate to that.
People will gravitate to it.
Yeah.
And those who don't, and they might be the closest people to you currently, they'll fall away.
Yeah.
Like you'll notice that as you grow as an individual. And for me, the more authentic, the more genuine I am on a daily basis, the more enjoyment I get out of it.
Yeah.
Because I can visibly see the excitement in a complete stranger due to my interaction or communication with them because of how content of where I am right now in my life. Example, me and my boy TJ yesterday, we did like just normal errands for the day or just ran around town, whatever. And we went to get food at Chris's Tavern, Boynton. And the woman at the cash register, him and I were just joking around with her. We're just like, hey, how you doing? Like, she's like, oh, can I help you? And we're like, yeah, we'd like to get some food. Like just something silly. Obviously, that's what we're here for. We're getting food, right? But like our interactions with her, because we were just being our normal silly selves, her face was just lit up. She was just happy to have that interaction. And it's so easy to do it. And you'll see the instant reciprocation of that communication with somebody. Where did this whole idea come from that you wanted to help people become better at communicating and start an arena of possible more successful dating?
My own experience in dating and my own communication, I've also grown, right? So I used to live a little more toxic lifestyle, I guess, right? And maybe when I was a little more, I've always wanted the same things. I've always wanted a family, wife, kids, the whole thing, right? But I wasn't showing up like that for a long time. And it was just whatever I was dealing with inside where I wasn't addressing. And you don't even know that you're doing it, right? When you're in it. And it's called hypnotic rhythm. And you get you spin this web of life for yourself. You don't even know you're doing it. And then once you realize you're in it, and it's very hard to get out of because it's just it's your comfort zone. So my vices were unemotional sex and a large amount of booze. So that's how I lived my life.
I'm laughing because that was the better part of my life from 20, 21 years of age up until like fucking maybe only a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the same thing, I lived that for a while. And it was because, I don't know, maybe I always tried to get relationships like, when I was younger, 18, first girlfriend. And then a couple years later, boom. And I always tried to, and I was like, well, fuck, this isn't working. What the fuck am I doing? I was like, fuck this. So I never knew like how to bring a girl home from the bar and fuck her. And all my friends were doing it. I was like, what is going on? I didn't start till a little later. And then once I started doing that, it was fun. I was like, I'm having a great fucking time. And I didn't care. I was very, very free bird. And I have that free bird spirit and mentality in me. It lives in me. And I do love it.
It's a bottomless pit of unemotional sex that ends up hurting you more than helping you.
And that's really self-abuse when you do it too much.
And there'll be guys out there be like, oh, shut up. It's fucking like, again, that's fine for you, whatever.
Yeah.
But the truth of it, psychologically, the truth of it is that you're hurting yourself the more you do that. And I did it for more than I have not. And I noticed how unhappy I was, and the routine and the comfort zone and all that sort of stuff. And all that kind of started going away a few years ago for me. But it's having conversations like this with individuals who can also admit where they went wrong for themselves,
Mhm.
uh, and sharing that information that once you realize that that path isn't good, that communication and like not having unemotional sex could actually change your life for the better. So all these experiences are happening, and you got to the point in your life where you realized that you wanted to change the way you communicate with people.
That and how I put myself out there and how I make myself the most authentic me, right? And which I'm still working on every day. This doesn't stop.
Never.
Just because I had this epiphany in my head where I was like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Well, that's like you're kind of like your rebirth right there. You're like, okay, well, what? Well, now I stopped, and I remember when this was. You got to start asking yourself questions. Anybody out there who is going through something and you don't know how to get out of, you're waking up in the morning and you're looking at the ceiling and you're just like, fuck, what am I, how, and you don't even know what you want to fix kind of, but you're just like, it's like this blank space and you're just like, fuck, why am I here? What am I doing? Why do I keep doing this? Why am I so unhappy? I'm just going to get up. I was going to go to this job that you like, you don't, but it's usually just, I have to be somewhere because I have a boss that's making me do this shit. Okay, for money, and then I come home, and then the only way I can make myself happy is to come home and watch Netflix, eat a pot pie, maybe fucking crank one out and pass out. And this is your life for fucking 40 years. I'm stopping that. Every guy does not have to do that. Nobody should be doing that, all right? I don't have a problem with Netflix. Yeah, binge watch a show, but like your life has to be more than that on a very large scale. Health, your fitness, the way you treat your body. I'm not saying don't have a couple cocktails because I love that too, right? But, and I'm not saying never have sex again either. But I mean, when you run your life like that, it's very toxic. I got to a point and I started asking myself questions. The first one was, is there more? And that's really where it starts. Is there more? Yes. That's the answer. Okay, well, what do I do? You already know what is not working. Trying to fuck every woman that you can get your hands on and having a bottle of vodka. You know what I mean?
Every day.
Or whatever that, yeah, and being blacked out 3-4 days a week with your friends and just partying and not really growing on yourself. So anybody, this is so fucked up. We go to a job, let's say you have a 9 to 5. You'll go there and you'll work your ass off for somebody else to kind of try to grow, and you won't work on yourself, like your own shit. Either your health, maybe your own business, maybe your own goals and dreams, all the shit that you really want to fucking do. It's again, I bring back the ego. We all have this pit, this fucking ego in us. And when you can't extinguish it, I'm telling you this because I currently have this, right? I'm extinguishing, and it's every day, right? Where I have to really work at that to be like, no, I need to show up. I need to do this. I need to do this. And it's daunting. Well, fuck that. Why is it daunting? You're the only one in your own head. Nobody else is.
You are your own limitation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once you can say, fuck this and fuck everybody else, and sometimes it's your family and your best friends. I don't mean literally be like, fuck you. I mean just, okay, well, we're going to ignore that and really just drive. You really can really do anything you want.
When you're ready to make the choice to change your environment, and again, you don't have to be mean to anybody in order to do it. You just have to make the choice within yourself that, okay, I'm not happy with the status quo. There has to be something more out there for me. And you're right. Yes, there is. You have to decide what that is. You have to make the choice to do things in your life to change your everyday boredom into your everyday excitement.
Mm-hmm.
What I do is before I go to bed now is I basically am making myself an accountability list. So the way I look at what you're saying is this. I give myself 6 hours of sleep because I know I can function on 6 hours of sleep and get a lot done if I choose to use my day. Everyone that says, oh, I don't have time, I'm so busy. That's bullshit. Make time. That's all it is. I sleep 6 hours. That gives me, if my math is good, 18 hours of productivity through the day. Now, life will throw itself at you. Mm-hmm. Example, today, I came to the studio, dropped the dog off, went to the gym, did my workout, came out, car, dead. Now, for most people, that would now turn their day upside down. Mm-hmm. They'd be angry. They'd be pissed off. They'd be waiting in a garage for an hour for a tow truck. I basically just sat there and said, all right, well, today's going to be a bit more challenging than I was leading out to be, but let's go at it anyways. And I laughed and I left my truck there and I was like, you know what? I got people I can call to kind of figure out how to go about this. I still have to get to the studio. I still have someone coming in that we're going to record. And so I, before bed, make a list of what I want to get done. Hold like an accountability list as to this is what my day is going to look like. And I want to achieve all these because I'm going to make time for every single one of these events throughout the day. That will help you change your environment. That will help you change yourself. You will start seeing the progression because you're going to be able to mark these things off as you go. And then at the end of the day, whatever's not done, put it onto the list for tomorrow. And you keep putting that practice into your life. And I can guarantee you, you're going to see some really good outcomes. On top of it, if you also add the practice of don't let life fuck you up when it throws challenges at you, because your mind has to be, you have to be emotionally grown to understand that things happen so quickly that you need to think and react just as quick. So I chose not to freak out because my truck is dead. I got friends. I'll be able to get home eventually. I'll be able to get a tow truck and figure it out. It's not the end of the world, but I'm still going to go and accomplish my day. So what I'm basically saying is make time for what it is that you want to change in your life and just start off by writing it down. Once you write it down, now you have a list of accountability and you can look at that at the end of the day and say, okay, well, I was kind of successful on some things, but kind of not. Life threw something at me, which kind of, made me pivot, but I didn't get angry. I kept moving forward with my day and I still got 70% of that list done today. And today's the first day I did that list. That's what you're probably going to say at the end of the night. Well, that's not so fucking bad if I got 70% of this list done today and it's my first time implementing that practice.
The accountability that you talk about, and maybe a lot of people are, I don't know, I don't even care. It worked for me. I used to just kind of be willy-nilly and wild west how I ran my day. Whatever just came at me, and I was like, whatever. I just knew I had to go to work. That was it, right? And I wanted to go to the gym at some point. That was usually what I wanted to do. And now I'm like, okay, what if I start this morning routine shit? Like, what is this all about? I don't know, you hear a lot about it. And I did, and it starts off your day great because so I'll get up and I used to just get up and not make my bed. I was like, all right, and just go. And I always would ask myself throughout my whole life, like, why do I need to make my bed? I'm just gonna get back in it later. Well, it's the accountability muscle, and you just start doing things that are supposed to be done. And I never got it, but I was like, all right, let me just make my bed. And that 30 seconds it took me, boom, sense of accomplishment. Okay, that's one. And checking shit off, boom, all right, made the bed. Okay, well, what next? I drink a gallon of water a day, so that's the first thing. I don't drink a whole gallon, but I start the water, boom, water. All right, well, and I have this checklist, and I'm checking shit off, and it's just like subconsciously feels good. Checking shit off feels good.
What time of day do you start your morning routine now?
I will say 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I get up, and that's a lot of like, I don't have to check emails. I don't have to. And it's hard not to grab your phone, right? Because that's where my alarm is and shit. So if you start looking at stuff, you'll kind of get swayed. So I try not to look at anything. Like, I'm going to make my bed. I'm going to do the water. I have like this Wim Hof, where I have to go on my phone. I have a Wim Hof breathing app. So I'll do some breath work. And it's just like box breathing for, And then I usually write something down in the journal, like really anything. It's kind of like what I'm feeling. If I'm happy, sad.
Whatever emotion is going through your mind.
That's usually what I do. A lot of people like write down the gratitude between the breath work and that is my alignment
for the day.
And then that kicks off my day. And then I get like some sort of pre-workout and I head to LA Fitness and that starts my day.
It's so funny because I went there today and I got there at 7. I think my goal was to be there at 7, but I ended up being there at 7:15. And it's so funny because I was like, oh, I wonder if I'm going to see him here because I've, figured it's probably.
You would have, but there was so much traffic. I didn't get there till like 8.
My buddy Brian was going to help me out with my truck situation, and he was stuck on Dixie for some reason. So I was like, yeah, don't worry, go to Boynton, go do your job, and we'll figure out the truck later. Everyone in Lyfe Choyces land, all my lifers know that my morning routine has a lot of different aspects to it. Mm-hmm. I wake up at 5 to spend time with my dog. I have my coffee. I do all my meditation and all my stuff, all my little things that I want to get done before leaving the house. And I used to give myself 2 hours to do that, but then I'm like, dude, you're like, that's an hour that you don't need to do. You can do all that stuff in an hour and then use that other hour to get to the studio, go to the gym, and like really start like that's all the mind work I need to get done in the day to start my day. But then the actual work that, you have to get done, I can get that going by about 8 a.m. And already I've got all that other stuff accomplished and I feel so good already.
Yeah.
Getting back to the whole communication and
Sure.
dating
Yep.
and the whole idea behind the Tom Lemere show and the dating events, where do you think the biggest problem is amongst the men and women with the communication?
The story that they tell themselves in their head, that they're not good enough, that somebody's out of their league, that before they just by looking at them, maybe it's a guy who maybe doesn't have a lot of confidence in himself, but he wants to, and he has got a lot of value. He's got a lot of things going for him in his otherwise life, maybe his work and stuff like that. Maybe he's a little overweight. Maybe he wants to do a lot of stuff, but he's stuck. This is where I feel most men are, to be honest with you, in society. Being in shape, for some reason went by the wayside. Just like eating donuts and ho-hos, watching Netflix, that became just the norm. And I'm like, well, no, who wants to? Anybody well, I'm starting here because this is where it starts for men, okay? When you look at yourself in the mirror,
you are your own worst enemy.
That, and you're looking at, you're like, how could you be? Are you happy? Most of the people are going to say no, but then they're like, well, they're not. They don't really. They want to do something about it. They wish maybe they look better, but that's a mental thing, right? So when you go to the gym, my brain's firing off. So the way that maybe I'm getting my arms or whatever it is getting bigger, that's just a byproduct. Yes, I like this, but it's because this is functioning at a high pace. That's the first thing. And then if he wants to go talk to a woman, he immediately gets in his head. And it is daunting to just approach people. I get it, especially in a social scene where you don't know a woman. If you automatically think like, she's not going to want to talk to me. Then that's right.
Yeah.
But if you don't go over there, she's definitely not going to talk to you. So it's the story that they tell themselves that they're not good enough. So once you start rewriting that story and just turn the page, start writing another story. Like, I am fucking awesome. I can go literally talk to anybody that I want. And this is the one thing, the first step in the program, in the Tom Lemere project, that's the coaching program. There will be, first thing I'll be like, what are you? You are a man. What does that make you? That makes you a person. Well, what is she? A person. So she's not fucking better than you. And
no better, no worse.
I'm not saying you got to fall in love the second you go over there, but you got to go over there if you're like, for some reason I want to go over there. And then when you don't, 100% of the time you regret it. Like every time that's happened to me, I'm like, why the fuck didn't I do that? Or what's worse is if you wait too long to go, not even in that space, maybe you even know them and you kind of set your intention of what you would like to do. And maybe they're already starting to see somebody. You're like, fuck, I had a window. Damn it.
I missed the opportunity.
Right. So don't tell the story. Get out of your head. That's the first thing. It's important to get out of your head. And since we're having this conversation about communication, about just approaching, that's the first step in this dating scene. If you want to go talk to somebody, get out of your head, go over there, introduce yourself. And this is all you got to say. Hello, I saw you over here. My name is Tom. I just want to introduce myself. How are you? And that's it. The
conversation will either continue or it won't.
She'll either just look at you, and if she fucking completely blows you off, whatever, some of you don't probably want to talk to anyway. Two, if she's got girlfriends with her, what's gonna happen is this: they're all gonna start looking at each other, and it's like this. I don't know.
Subconscious.
Yeah, they're all talking to each other. Do we want him here? I don't know. He's cute. I don't know. Whatever. And then one of them is gonna be like, oh, and then start talking, and then it doesn't matter. Even if you get shot down, the fact that you went over there and took a step when you were terrified, fuck what they say.
That's a win.
Right. The win is that you took the step. Who cares? That if they give you a conversation, great, a little bit of a bonus. But you already won by getting out of your comfort zone and just taking a step.
I'm going to say this. A friend of mine that's been on the show a few times, the Sexy Guru, let me know what win actually means or what it could stand for, which is what's important now.
Yeah.
And so for any man, as we're talking about men right now, when you think about approaching a woman, you may get rejected. You may not get the results you want. But what is important now is the fact, like you're saying, You took the chance.
Mhm.
You took the chance and you switched what was in here and went and did something that you were fearful of, which meant you were going to step out of your comfort zone and take a chance. And that taking a chance, don't always have to think of it of, oh, I got the girl's number. Think of it of, I just grew a little bit. I just grew that little bit
Yep.
because I would not have done that yesterday.
And you feel fucking good.
Dude,
You know?
worst case scenario, they don't talk to you.
Right.
Big fucking deal.
You still feel good because you went over there. And you're like, fuck, I just went over there. It's not just men. Women also want to communicate. So from an old school mentality, yes, the man's supposed to lead. The man's supposed to be the one to approach, right? I don't think it's terrible at first, just at first, for a woman to kind of go over to a guy and be like, hey, I've been over here. I've been seeing you looking at me like, what are you doing? Kind of like almost call him out, like bring forward, bring him, call him up. Be like, hey, man, not like to punk him. To be like, hey, what's up? You know, and just start talking. And then, but that's where, at that instance, she's got to live in her masculinity to like take that step. That's the lead position, right? And then hopefully he can take that masculine energy over. She can fall into her feminine and then support that role he's doing. You know what I mean?
I agree with you with what you just said there. I'm very old school, so I am a strong believer of taking the first move. However, I have thoroughly enjoyed on occasion being called out on my shit.
Yeah.
Because I have been approached from where I've always been the kind of guy, I kind of hang back with my friends. Like oddly enough, when I'm in that atmosphere, I'm the least talkative person.
Mhm.
I'm kind of hanging outside the bar on the street, like, because here in South Florida, like, you can kind of drink on the street
Sure.
a bit. So I'm usually having my drink there, chatting with the waitresses and the bartenders, whatever, because when they come out, and I'll give a look, I'll smile at a girl or whatever, but I'm not always going to be like going
Sure.
over there and approaching because I'm at a different stage in my life.
Sure.
And I don't really want to be in the bar full crowd people.
Me neither.
Yeah,
That's
but
terrible.
on occasion, one of them will come out and say like, they'll just walk right up, and this is so cool, I think, sometimes. And it does put me on my heels and put me in that feminine response at first,
Yeah.
which is like,
Oh,
I saw you looking at me, but
Yeah.
for some reason you're just standing out here the whole time having your drink. And then and again, when you get to the point of being so comfortable with yourself, all of these thoughts, all of these reactions happen so fucking rapidly and so quick that you're able to recognize what's happening and react appropriately to the emotion that you're feeling. So when a woman approaches me in that fashion, first off, I'm like, oh, damn, I just got called out. So you have a little bit of like shrinking, but then I'm like, in the same second, I'm like, but wait a second, she just came out here to talk to me. So
right. It's
my
kind of like a
looking
little
over there was
both. Right?
good. So now it's up to me to be like, okay, you're 100% correct. I was absolutely looking at you in there. I just have a bit of a thing with claustrophobia, and I just don't like being surrounded by that many people. But I'm very glad you came out, because I was gonna, when you came out, if you were leaving, I was gonna be like, yo, hey, how you doing? And all of a sudden, now that switches the whole environment, and now she can go back, like you're saying, into her feminine,
Yep.
be all cute and whatnot, and I can like now start being the man.
And that's good. That's high frequency shit. That's
Yeah.
good. And that's good on her. Two things you said there. One, I'm not saying for anybody that's listening, guy or girl, any guy, if there's hot women everywhere, right? There's women that you're going to find physically attractive everywhere. I'm not saying you got to walk up to every one of them and be like anything, right? But I'm saying when you want to, like you see somebody in a social atmosphere, and really anywhere, and you're like, fuck, I really want to go talk to her. That's when I'm talking about doing it. That's probably when it's most scary. But
and you feel it, like
yeah,
you
you'll
will
feel it. You'll
inside
get like
of
a little
you.
nerves. You'll be
Yeah.
like, oh shit. But treat it as if you were going to go talk to one of your friends who happens to be a woman, or somebody that you're really not attracted to. What would you do? Like I've talked to thousands of, and you're like, whatever. And there's nothing. But you're yourself. And there's no rehearsal. There's no nothing. It's just like, okay, let's just go up here. Like, I already know this woman. And I was like, hey, what's going on? You know what I mean? And then ask her opinion on something. I think women they want to be heard, but their opinions want to be heard. And then you don't have to, if she's probably knows she's an attractive woman, you don't have to tell her, oh, you're so pretty, you're so hot. Okay. You could say something else like,
bring something more to the table.
That, or talk about her style or something, or shoes or whatever. That's my unwarranted opinion there. But,
Right. I mean, I would say like take a quick moment to really evaluate the situation and find something talkable. Instead of just saying, "Oh, I think you're very pretty, so I came over here." You could be like,
that's better than nothing, though.
Yeah, but you could be like, yo, I really like those jeans, or like,
Sure.
listen, that bracelet you have on is
Yeah.
really cool. Like, where'd you get it? You can have an icebreaker and see where the conversation goes from there.
The only thing I would say, not even against that, because it's not, just don't wait too long because you'll get inside your head and you won't do it. So it's kind of got to be like, I like to do it if I'm going to. While I'm walking up, I'll find something quick just so it's kind of like, it's not forcing it, but I'm like, I'm doing this.
But that's what I mean by
Sure.
evaluating the situation. Right? When you walk up to someone, like, let's just say it was me and you on the street, and you know, I really dig the hat. I'd be like, hey man, how you doing today? You know, just as crossing by, I'd be like, oh, I'm good, thanks. How you doing? I'd be, oh, I'm great. I love the hat, dude.
Cool.
And that could either just be like, make that dude feel really good as he walks by
Yeah.
and you go on your way, or it could strike up a conversation like, oh, thanks, man. I got it. My buddy actually owns a printing company and he got it. Oh yeah. What's that printing company called? And all of a sudden now you're in a dialogue with somebody that you didn't know before. And that can now be an opportunity to create friendship. Because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about communicating and creating friendships and relationships with people, regardless if it's like, you know, opposite sex or someone that you're interested in. The point is getting out of your own head and being more communicative with other humans.
Yeah, the more growth within yourself too. And there's another thing that you said, helping really anybody. That's where I got into this space. So the first question, how did I get into this? I find that I really like helping people.
It's something as simple as walking past somebody, and I put this into practice as much as I can, man or woman. I try to compliment them on something.
Yeah.
Like, hey, nice shoes, or hey, I really like that dress. It looks good on you. And like, I'm not looking to carry the conversation on. I'm not looking back behind me to see how they reacted. I just do it so that I know as I leave their entire life, they're continuing on, at least in this day, feeling a bit better because someone gave them recognition for something about them.
Sure. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel fucking amazing.
That's why you do it. I love it.
That's why I do it.
100%.
We're both on the same page of the desire to help other people is so important once you realize, and maybe it's selfish, but once you realize how it makes you feel afterwards, you're going to want to do it more often. I have some of my friends, like my one buddy, Cameron Bryce, one of the nicest motherfuckers I know, right? Like, he probably puts everyone else in front of him first. Like, that's his nature. Everyone knows he's just very forthcoming with like helping you and giving you what you need. And you know, I'm hoping that in turn makes him feel very, very happy, you know, because he does it all the time. And once you realize, like, fuck man, like, just by telling someone they look good today, how that's going to make you feel, it's unbelievable.
It's little, and little things like that anybody can do, and it's not like a people pleasing thing, because that's another toxic trait. If you're doing that, you don't even know it. Just like making people feel good. Yeah, it doesn't take any effort, really. You know,
it takes
zero effort. It's just, hey, you're right.
It takes so very little effort.
Yeah.
Like I said, being so comfortable within yourself is going to open up so many things, such as being able to communicate with people, because you're going to be able to understand how to talk to somebody. And when you're able to receive happiness from a complete stranger because you've done something out of your comfort zone to make them feel good, it
becomes addictive. Like, for yourself, it's like the stuff that goes through you because you're able to be a spoke on the wheel of somebody's life of them feeling good. It's little, it's good, but it's good. And that's where I want to see society go. And like, when we get back to the men, being leaders, being providers, being protectors, that's bare fucking minimum, especially in the relationship space or the dating space, especially if you are courting a woman.
Okay, so this is like the third time you said that, and I love that you keep saying courting, because that's like old school. We're not that far off in age, I have to imagine. And like, our parents courted, like our dads courted our moms.
It's different than chasing. I'm not saying chase because and you're getting ignored. That then you're just like a lost puppy. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. But yeah.
Take the effort to you don't have to see someone every single day for 7 weeks from the first day you meet them.
Right.
You can literally just see them once a week, like go on a date or just go hang out and have a coffee. That's courting. That's showing up once in a while at the beginning, doing something nice. Do little things like open a fucking car door, open up the door, you know, but do it genuinely. Don't do it just because we're telling you that it's a way to get it. Do it because you genuinely want to be that guy that opens a door for a lady, and you will see what is returned in time from doing those sort of things.
When it comes off authentic, you're exactly right.
Yeah. Because again, there's going to be a lot of men in this space, and we can speak of this because we're men and that's where our experiences lay, that will approach this from still that young Peter Pan aspect of, I want to fucking get laid. And that's unfortunate, you know, because they obviously have not looked inside themselves to change themselves for the better. Yeah. And that is why I can understand where the women have anger or upset with all the shit they're dealing with when it comes to men, because of the younger mind that we tend to have for a longer period of time.
That's
until
correct.
we get older, we tend to be that Peter Pan, and the women have to deal with that shit all the time.
Yeah.
So I totally understand the women's point of view of like, I wish there was like a real man that would just do things like open a car door or whatever in their head is those things. On the flip side of that, because I need to talk about this stuff too, which I'm sure you're
Yeah,
going to get
please do.
into in your events, is the men's disappointment in the women's way of society now.
Yeah.
Because
That's a tough one. Yeah.
I can understand women want men to be more manly.
Right.
They want us to be stronger. They want to be providers. I get that. But you also have to be like, at the same time, you're yelling at us to be sensitive and be in touch with our emotions and be able to express that. Now, I'm going on a rant, but
No, you can.
I know how to be in touch with my emotions because I am, and I can express that with people.
Yeah. And
I can still be strong and want to provide. Because, for example, I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, a girl. We have a friendship. We had been together once or twice before a long time ago. And she said, like, don't you ever want to have kids? And I said, absolutely, I do. That's where I'm at right now in my life. And she's like, well, why don't you? And she said that what I was saying was the same thing I said, before, how I'm too busy. I don't have time. I'm not looking for this, that, and the other. When I decided that, yes, I am ready for that, like now I'm ready for it, I talk completely differently to women. I also don't look at them as a possibility of getting laid. I look at it as, okay, is this person someone that can bring value into my life? Am I going to be happy with them 10 years from now? Can I stay wanting them after I have sex with them the first time? And these are all things that you have to know before dating somebody. You can't just be Peter Pan and think hot chick, gonna fuck her, and that's it. And I've lost my whole.
No, the train of thought was like the courting thing, and now and the women that find the men are not showing up and their disappointment. I would never tell anybody to lower their standards, but I would say maybe be a little more open-minded to where maybe somebody is coming from or what their lifestyle is about. Also, when you're going through and getting away from just the younger mindset of like, okay, she's got this fucking great ass and I can't wait to do whatever and all this disgusting shit. I get it. Listen, I have it too, but now I'm like wearing more under control and I can manage that, And I want the same thing. I want a family, kids, the whole thing. So I approach it different as well.
Both the man and the woman, or man, woman, because let's be honest, that's the way the world is. Both individuals in a unit, they need to have their own life.
Yeah.
They need to have importance. They need to have focus and drive into something that they want to do, and whatever their career is has to be just as important as the other person. Money shouldn't fucking matter. It shouldn't matter who's making the more, because you're a unit. So
as long as it's there
together, as long as the bills are paid for, kids are taken care of, new businesses can be taken care of, whatever that is for the two of you. But losing oneself in a relationship is going to be the demise of the relationship.
That's exactly correct.
Yeah.
And the pillars of that, my pillars would be communication, honesty, respect, and loyalty. Not even love, right? So love is going to be on top of that foundation, I feel. This is just this is what I would say. If you kick out loyalty, game over. Foundation is gone. Communication to include confrontation. Like if you're pissed, bring it up. Don't let that shit fucking build and all that. And even in the courting thing, like be a little more, I guess like that's where the open-minded come from. Like don't just react and, but communication to include confrontation, loyalty, respect, and honesty. If you kicked out any one of those pillars from the foundation, everything that's on top of it, like money, love, laughing, sex, everything will fall. If you don't have respect for somebody anymore, you're not going to want to fuck them. If you can't be loyal to them, well, then you're
losing trust.
Right. All of that. So that all has to be worked on all the time. And that's a relationship that I want for myself, where it's, I don't mean like I want to have a hard relationship. No, that's not what I mean. I want to go through the hard steps to make it the most authentic that it can be. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying I want like a hard relationship where you're like, fuck, this sucks. It should be easy to do the hard stuff.
You want to put in the effort
Yeah, I want to put the work in.
To accomplish the work.
Yeah.
So that you know you'll have not just a good foundation, but you'll have a relationship that can withstand any challenge that life might throw at you.
That's right.
That makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
With the women aspect of, oh, it's so fucking hard out here dating. Men are all scum. They're all a bunch of boys. They don't want anything more than sex. That's a lot that we as men who are still out there dating would have in our head when approaching or going to an event. Is like, but they already think the worst of us. But as a man, you need to remember, okay, but they're still showing up. They're still in that atmosphere. They're still in that environment. So they're still hoping that there's one amongst us that understands, and this is what you say, like understand the other person's situation, is understand that they, at a certain age, have probably already been hurt. They've already gone down the road of experiencing the wrong men. And you need to be aware of that just as much as the women need to be aware that even the strongest, most confident man may have been cheated on, may have been lied to, may have been hurt verbally by a girlfriend. So you're not 19 anymore. Right. You're not 25. You're of an age where both parties have gone down roads of life. Yeah. And life is fucking difficult. Right. It's just a fact.
You brought up a couple of things. Like women are saying men are scum. And listen, I know what they're saying. I get the rhetoric or what they're saying. They're not showing up. It's kind of like everybody just wants to fuck. All right, well, okay. So women out there, if you are of the mindset of like, well, guys are just wanting to fuck me. Well, my recommendation is to keep your fucking legs closed. That's one thing. Two, you'll find that if that's all he wants, then he'll just press on. But if he wants more, then just don't. Any woman that's saying that has been fucking after a few hours or whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. So I get it. Men just want to fuck. Well, how do you know that? You want to fuck too. But you got to like wait for that good stuff. It doesn't have to be within the first few hours. You know what I mean? Where it's where the lifestyle used to live.
It doesn't even have to be within the first.
Right. No, I mean, I mean, that's where the courting comes along. And then whenever it's right for a relationship for both of you, that's, the physical intimacy does not have to happen until it's right for both parties. That does not mean that you hear all these like, the love languages and like for me, it'd be quality time. I do like physical touch, like, holding hands or like whatever that is. That's separate of sex. That's not what I mean. And then there's the gift giving and what's the other one? Words of affirmation. So those last two aren't like my big ones, but like quality time is a big one. I like spending time and like the touch stuff.
If you want real intimacy, get the whole sex thing out of your head.
Yeah, because that's where all the good stuff is. You're right.
Real intimacy is actually where the individual breaks down their own walls and shows their vulnerability.
100%. I love that.
And really, I've tried to explain this with girls in the past that I've slept with. I don't even want to say I dated, but I slept with girls in the past, and I try to explain to them that I'm going to give you all the information that you want when I feel comfortable enough to give you that information.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying don't ask questions. You want to find out about the person, like, oh, where'd you grow up, and do you have siblings, and what was your relationship like with your parents? Like, I get it. Like, women want to know all these things. The intimacy comes when the individual divulges that information just naturally and calmly in a conversation, in an atmosphere that they just feel comfortable in.
Yeah.
And when that happens, that is what intimacy is actually.
The vulnerability, that's right.
Physicality in sex is just that. It's physicality in sex. You can be intimate with someone because you're standing naked in front of them and all of that entails. But true intimacy to me, that's like divulging that information. That's like,
and when you do that, I think when you combine the two, after you divulge the information, or maybe you become vulnerable, and now you guys are on this other level of whatever, and you combine it, then you have the intimacy and the physical sex. Then it's like this whole other fucking world.
It's a different fucking, don't get me wrong.
It's a different fuck, whatever.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. It's different energy and different vibrations that's being transferred. Yeah. And when people don't believe in energies, I think they're just full of shit.
Yeah.
The energy transformation or passing from one person to another through physical contact is so unbelievable when you're aware of it, when you're in tune with it.
Mhm.
And if you're able to connect with someone mentally in order to become physically with them, that transformation of energy is so different. Now, you can have high level of physical feeling by doing sex in different ways depending on what you are into. And
Yeah.
nowadays with all of the porn and everything that's out there, there's so many things that people like, holy fuck, that's a thing. Yeah, that's a thing. And
Yeah.
you can do it. And
We're
it
all
feels
fucked, guys.
good.
Like the whole the human mind is whacked.
Absolutely.
But I love
this,
it.
This computer system is
Oh,
the
yeah.
most strange thing in the world.
Yeah.
But my whole point is, and I don't want to be a hypocrite because I've been that guy that has gone out to the bar and taken a girl home and we've just had this animal sex where we just both afterwards are just like, you know, like we get that. The rare occasion that I have been that intimate with someone who I actually talk to and have that level of energy transformation, it doesn't fucking compare to any sex I've ever had.
Of
And
course.
the fact that afterwards I'm so happy to be laying there beside that person.
Yeah.
That's other level
It's awesome.
shit.
Yeah. And that's where I think a lot of people want to go. And that's where the women want to go too. So I think when the women say this, like, oh, guys are just scum or they're pigs or whatever, they got to find the guy who's ready to get past just the sex shit and to get to the other realm of life where it's vulnerability and where men can, for some reason, society has pushed men down to not be vulnerable. No, that's not correct. You're allowed to be vulnerable. You're allowed to feel something. You're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to be happy. You're allowed to feel everything. But the most important part is how you react to that.
I think men benefit from what I'm about to say here. When starting a relationship, know yourself very well and understand that because it'll happen, your woman comes at you with these kind of topics or with this kind of anger, is stay calm. Look them in the eye. Don't give your smirk or your smart ass little body language. Like look them in
That's
the
hard
eye.
though.
This is where practices of everything
you're right.
come in. Look at them intently. Let them say what they want to say, and then you can respond with, "Babe, hun, sweetheart, whatever you call them." I totally hear what you're saying right now, and I understand that you're at a level of anger right now. So what I would like to do is I'd like to take this information and I would like to go and sit with it for a minute and come back and have a calm discussion over this, if that's okay with you. Now, that's not saying that you're being a pussy
Right.
or
No, I think that's good.
I think it's a wonderful idea because you're letting the woman know that as the man, you hear her.
Mhm.
You're validating what she's saying by saying, babe, and maybe by saying, babe, maybe it's contradictory for what I'm saying, but you're giving them the awareness that you care enough that you've listened to every word that they've said. And before reacting in a aggressive manner, you want to step away from the situation so you can absorb it, filter out what's important about it, and come back and have an actual real conversation with them. Because what you're doing is you're allowing the woman to understand you're listening. You're also allowing time to deflate the anger or the negativity that's coming at you. And when you sit down together, I believe the conversation will be much easier to be had. You as the man also have time to try to figure out why you're getting this brought to you right now.
Yeah. And as a masculine in the relationship, not only do I think, like, I keep bringing up the strong body all the time because that's taking care of your body and the mind, that's huge, right? And then being a motherfucker for your own life and like this lion, we'll say, okay, for yourself as the man. When you're in the relationship, if you show up as the lion, not good. You have to kind of subdue that. And I'm not saying show up as the lamb, we'll say, right? Not a sheep, but lamb. And all that means is you're not just like on fire in like your life, and you come into the relationship where you're aggressive and like all these things that, you know, men should be doing as leaders. But the leader now shows up with compassion, with love, with sympathy, and just a softer side to support that feminine.
Agree with you wholeheartedly. There's a lot of visual and audio people out there right now that say this statement, which is, it's a stronger man that knows that he can be the lion and destroy or, take over everything, but chooses not to.
Yeah, control it.
He's been down that path before.
Yeah.
He knows the animal that's within him that he can become. He chooses to live a softer life because he's already been able to calm the lion.
Whatever shit you got, because we all have it, and I don't think it goes away. It's like, how do you deal with it? How do you tame it? How do you, whatever. And the first part is asking the questions to yourself. For me, it was, is there more? Whatever questions you need to start asking. And if you don't know what they are, just start asking something.
If there's anything I can do, if there's anything that the Lyfe Choyces company can do to help support you guys, please let me know, because we're fully on board with you. I
Sure
love
will.
what you're doing. I love how you express yourself and that you're willing to share your life's vulnerabilities and your life's experiences in order to help other men and women get through the whole world of dating. It's phenomenal. So
Yeah.
Tom, thank you so very much for coming by the Lyfe Choyces podcast.
Yes,
today.
sir.
It's a great start to a friendship. For
Yes,
sure.
sir.
I
Appreciate it, my man.
For all my lifers out there, thank you once again for coming by. We'll see you next Tuesday here at 2 p.m. on the Lyfe Choyces podcast. Much love, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen.
You are now about
The Journey, Life Choices podcast.